Welcome to the Making Pittsburgh Healthy podcast. You'll hear from the most powerful people in the health industry. The advice, inspiration, and application will rock your world. Let's create the healthiest city in America, naturally.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Making Pittsburgh Healthy, where our goal is to make Pittsburgh healthy, but let's transform this world. Thank you for joining us. This episode is going to be fun, just like every other episode. We appreciate your listening and downloading and subscribing. If you're not a regular subscriber yet, we ask you to go to Facebook and Instagram, follow us, so you'll get to see all the updates and all the incredible information from our guests. Subscribe and review. When you do that, what that helps us is it gets word out. It lets other people know that we're out here and we're serving. So if nobody hears about us or hears these incredible interviews, it goes nowhere. So we appreciate and we depend on your support by just sharing it. So we appreciate, take these episodes and just after you're done, share it on your Facebook page, share it with a friend. Today we have McCarthy on the call, and this is going to be really exciting. I can't wait to learn more and dive deep into journaling. Her website is Create Right Now. Like always, we'll have all these links hooked up. See, she learned how to journal when she developed multiple sclerosis many years ago, and she had to retrain her left side of her body to heal. Well, she learned about a technique about journaling. She began to journal, and not only did she find that she resolved physical issues, but through journaling, she had spiritual changes, emotional changes, and mental changes as well. So we're going to learn some very specific tactics and steps we can do to begin journaling. And if you've never journaled before, she's going to show us how to start. If you're into journaling, you're going to learn some ninja moves that takes your game to a whole new level. I always say, hey, let's up our game. So today, Mary's going to help us up our game. All right, Mary, welcome to Making Pittsburgh Healthy. And just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what you like to do for fun, and what gets you up in the morning.
Well, let's see. I'll take one, try and take them in order. I live in a beach town south of Boston, and I right on the beach. It was one of my goals was when I was growing up in Pittsburgh. We used to go to the Jersey Shore and go to have our summers there. So I thought, when I grow up, I'm going to have a house on the beach. So, and I think that's getting back to my Pittsburgh roots. That's the basic difference between Pittsburgh and Boston is Boston has an ocean, and I'm sorry, the three rivers of Pittsburgh just don't make it for me. So I live full time in my beautiful beachfront home. I run a very successful company called Create Right Now, which provides a service called Journaling for the Health of It, which just got trademarked by U.S. government. And so that's my, I'm a big confirmed beach bum. My whole life used to be running a management consulting firm, for airplanes, hotels, all over that kind of stuff. But now I'm a confirmed beach bum, running a beautiful company out of my beachfront home, doing whatever I want when I want to do it and how I want to do it, and I'm healthier than I've ever been.
Awesome. We got to find that, and sometimes it takes many years to find that true expression of ourself. And sometimes we hide behind things because we're in the corporate world, or myself as a chiropractor, I tried to lead a certain type of life and present myself. And as the years go by, the layers keep coming off and I just become more of my true self. And I thought, man, I wish I could have done this all along and had that flavor of my personality the way it is now. But that's evolution to ourself, how we evolve over time and become stronger. Now, I'm really excited to hear your story of how journaling, because I am not a journaler. I journal some, I'm a dabbler in it, I guess. But I know how strong the mind and body connect. And when we can empower our mind, we can empower our body. When we can empower our mind and body, we can conquer amazing, incredible things. So tell us, go back to the time that you had MS and you discovered journaling.
Well, again, I go back to MS. In fact, I'm writing a new book called Mindset Medicine, How Journaling Power Can Heal Mind, Body, Soul. Because I have found, like I said, so I'm dedicating that book to MS. I had an exacerbation, an episode where I lost feeling on the right, most of my feeling on the right side of my body, and I needed a way to teach myself how to write with my left hand. I always say, because I was a high-powered businesswoman, I needed to have a procedure yesterday to do it. So I was introduced to a work by Julia Cameron. Her book is called The Artist's Way. And in the Artist's Way, she has a procedure called morning pages. And every morning, first thing before your Starbucks and everything else like this, you know, as soon as you roll out of bed, get on the page and just start dumping anything and everything that's in your mind, body, and soul. So I thought, okay, that'd be an easy way to figure out, you know, how to become left-handed, because it was, you know, I needed some physical therapy yesterday. So I got into that, and it was like, oh my goodness. I started hearing rhymes. I started writing poetry. I started remembering things from my childhood. It's like, oh my goodness. So I just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it, and just, you know, every morning, 3 pages, and just, and I became left-handed very quickly, because one of the things that I remembered by doing the morning pages was that the nuns at St. Bernard's School changed me, because I always was left-handed. So it was interesting that it didn't take me that long to become left-handed, because I had been stuffing down all the, my truth, if you will, that I was left-handed, and I became left-handed very quickly. So and then in addition to the physical therapy part of journaling, I got into the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, and I was addicted, and I just thought, wow, I have to keep doing this for my own personal sanity and safety and health. And I said, and then I'm going to start a company and share this with the world.
So before we dive into these techniques, because this is really interesting, the MS, you started journaling and you started seeing these healings. Did that help your physical body heal, that you could get off medicine? I'm sure that there was medications, pharmaceuticals that were involved, that you were able to get your own body empowered naturally, so you didn't have to depend on that. Was that part of that journey? How much did you heal?
Absolutely. And because I think that since it was an ability to get into, you know, my body, because I've been living so much in my head, I was detached from my body, to get back into my body and my soul, and see that, wow, the answers are here inside of me. And so to answer your question about the drugs, I think because I'd been on a drug called Avonex, that a nurse had to come once a week and give me an intramuscular shot on my arm, because I was not at that point able to do it. So using that, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Oh yeah, so I think that I started journaling during that process, and I think just being able to get into my true self and really realize that I have the answers, and saying that, well, it doesn't make sense that I would be sick for 1 to 2 days after getting the shot, paying all this money for something that doesn't really make sense, because they haven't found what the cause was. This is not really a cure, so it doesn't make, for me, it doesn't work. So I guess that what I'm saying is that I really feel the journaling empowered me to say, wait a minute, this is not right for me, putting all this garbage in my body on the hope that maybe kind of sort of will settle down the symptoms, or kind of sort of hope, you know, that kind of stuff. So I attribute that to the fact that I had been journaling for 2 or 3 years, and it's like I started to own my power and get back into my body and say, wait a minute, this is not working for me. This the cure, quote unquote cure, is even less healthier than what I was doing before that. So I just thought, and so I called up my neurologist. I know the story was the nurse who comes to visit to do the shot did not come 1 week. And I felt great after not having the shot. And I'm saying, whoa, what's wrong with this picture? And I called my neurologist and I said, this is it. I'm off drugs. And I've been off of all kinds of pharmaceuticals for 17 years now. And in changing my diet further down the road, I got off of over-the-counter craziness. So I have not taken, the only thing I'm taking right now are cannabis capsules and fish oil. That's it.
I love it. And this is exactly what this show is about, is empowering people to understand that we have this power within us. It's ready to go. We just have to stoke the fire. We have my business is called, my chiropractic is Innate Life. We have an innate or an inborn God-given potential inside us. And people often say, we search for God. Where's God? Well, God is within us and his power is within us. It was there all along. We all have it. And I know that I don't have my highest level yet. I keep striving for that. And today I'm really excited. I take pieces from every show and I keep implementing because I want to keep learning. And listeners, if you're, as you listen to this, don't just listen to Mary's story and say, wow, that's interesting. I don't have MS. We have to act now. Whatever level we are at, we can go higher. And there is more within us than we could ever imagine. So let's jump into this. So journaling, how, and people are listening, like, she's just writing. How is journaling helping this? And what I have a question. So you get out of bed, the first thing you do is journal. So when I get out of bed, first thing I do is I'm in an old farmhouse. I have to walk downstairs, two stories, and I get my coffee and my Bible and I read and I start preparing my mind that way. What would you suggest there? So you got right out of bed and bam, you started writing. Why is this important? And what's the best technique?
Well, I'm not saying that that's how I got started. My journaling practice today is totally different. What I do today is similar to you. I do a page of morning pages and then do a meditation in the morning. At night, right before I go to bed, I do night notes. For a while there, I was doing middle of the day ambidextrous morning pages. So I guess I want to first say, first off, doctor, there's only one right way to journal, and it's your way. And that's what's so fascinating about it, is that there aren't any rules, or you don't have to cross your T's and dot your I's. Is whatever you, and I'll talk about my favorite 4-letter F word, whatever you feel you want to do. And that's in and of itself different. And that's it's like a catch-22, that once you get into a journaling practice, and you have a very viable journaling practice at this point for you. So it's just, like I said, so I just want to reiterate that and there's only one right to journal, and that's your way. So it's like there's not a hard and fast rule. It's just totally up to however you feel you want to do it. Like I said, I've changed based on this is what feels right for me.
Okay, and let me ask you this. So is this a brain dump? So let's say I get up, I do my reading, and as I'm reading in prayer and meditation, I'm trying to get my mind focused on higher powers, not just my business or my cell phone, or I never turn on the news. So is this I just write what is coming off my head and my heart? And obviously it could be a paragraph, it could be a page. You just dump until you're kind of done. Is that
until, like I said, either you feel you're done, or your hand falls off, or whatever. Yeah, exactly. But again, it gets back to you and where you are is like, yeah, that sounds good, or that's right. Or, some days you may want to read what you wrote. Some days you might want to tear up what you wrote. It's just like whatever, that wherever you are, just tuning into your true higher self, and yeah, that works. And someday it might just be a doodle day, or someday it might just be a dear journal, thank you day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a good start. So anyone listening, you get your journal out. If you don't have a journal, just go get a journal and start dumping. What does this do to our mind? Why is this important? Because I think a lot of people, listeners would say, well, it sounds good, but I just don't have time for this. I hear those excuses all the time. And I like want to choke them. I don't choke them. I shake them a little bit, but like we hear, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm busy. And that's garbage. Why is this important? What does this do to our brain and our spirit and our heart? Why should we do this?
Because it helps answer the question of who really lives in your body. With journaling, you discover what makes you up. It gets you out of your head and all the old programming that we're carrying around. It gets us into our heart, our soul, our body. It's us functioning as holistic human beings. And then we're able to realize, wow, I can do that. Yeah, I want to do that. And gets us back to our true self and reclaiming our power.
So if we have in us, like we're all created in different ways, what we like to do for fun. You like the ocean. I live on a farm. It wasn't something I planned for, but I just love outside. And we all have different ways to express ourselves and what we love to do. So as we journal and we just start writing these like subconscious memories that we were created for, probably have been stifled and just stuffed down because of parents and teachers and society. And we're taught how to live and how to act and how to look and how to dress. And that's pushed under like 10 feet of dirt. And what journaling does is it starts to uproot those. So we start to realize, you know what? I want to do this. I want to dress this way. I want to go play and enjoy myself this way because everyone else says it's not me. It is me. Is that what we're discovering? Our true inner self? And I imagine too, we have to be patient with this, that we would have to journal and let it come, just like harvesting a seed. You put a seed in the ground, you don't run out the next day and grab a pepper. You don't have anything for weeks until that little sprout comes. Is that similar? Am I on?
Oh, you're right on, right on. Truly, yeah.
So as we do this, what would you say to the listeners to say, okay, how to get started? They get a journal. Any special tips? Get a journal started. Is it better in the morning? Better in the evening? This quiet time. What are like how to get them started?
Again, up to them. Pick a place. Pick a place that you'd love to be. Maybe you like to be out in your backyard or your garden or whatever. Let's say, again, totally up to you, whatever you feel like, yeah, that sounds right. Because, this is like you're giving yourself permission to be what you want for a change, as opposed to society, the man next door, all the responsibilities, external responsibilities. So it's, again, totally up to you, what you want to do. The whatevers of journaling are totally up to you.
Do you think it's important in the beginning to set time aside, like to say, okay, I just have never done this at noon, or my time's in the morning. As I get through the day and I'm busy, it's hard for me to get in state to relax and be calm, even though it would be very helpful for me. I'm busy. My ideas and thoughts don't come during the day because I'm active all day. My ideas and thoughts either come early in the morning or late at night. Is that something, I'm always telling the listeners and my patients, look, if you want to read or you want to work out, program it, put a time in,
schedule
actually
it.
Get in a habit, and then you can start to, like you probably mastered this, that you could probably get in state to journal anytime, anywhere, because you've done it so long.
Right.
We're new to this, and we're saying, I don't even know how to. My hand will cramp up after 2 sentences.
Right, and that's what people go through, the whole laundry list of the very active inner critic, monkey mind, or whatever. I'm too busy. I'm too da. And because we've been living in that type of a rat race, mentally for so long, so it is difficult. And I have to admit, it is scary because you're taking time for yourself first thing in the morning. Goodness gracious, it's just this is something totally different. It's a huge behavior change. So it's because, focusing on me and what I want, and, then the inner critic comes up. Oh, I'm not a thinker. I'm not a writer. Oh, I can't. I'm too busy. All the it just that type of behavior pattern is so ingrained, as you had said earlier, that it's just like, okay, let's take a moment. Let's take a pause. Let's take a breath. And let's say, what do I feel like doing? And it's like I said, it is a challenging mental, emotional, spiritual experience. So my suggestion is be good to yourself. And I love the idea of, okay, block out 5 minutes first thing in the morning for you, or block out 5 minutes before you go to bed to do your journaling. Like I said, your idea of structuring that, because that's the other thing. In addition to there's only one way to journal your way. The other thing is that to get the maximum benefits from journaling, it needs to be consistent. So it needs to be every day. So your suggestion, recommendation of putting it into, making it a part of your life, like, as much as, brushing your teeth, getting your morning coffee, whatever your thing is, health-wise, whatever you do for yourself, health-wise, which isn't too many for a lot of people. Just put it in your, if you have a planner, or if you keep your schedule up here, or whatever, just say, okay, 5 minutes for me time every morning.
Yeah, I love that. The me time. I say, you almost have to be a little selfish, and that's not a bad thing. I have 5 kids, and as we were growing up, I always spent time. I loved them, and we would play, but there was always time for me to work out and take care of myself. I would not neglect myself, because if my body goes, I'm no good for them. My father died at age 50 of heart disease, and I said, I'm going to do everything I can not to let that happen to me and my kids. So I can still kick their butt in most things. So maybe I've gone a little over, but I want to live life. I want to enjoy life. So let me ask you this. So as you began to journal, I'm sure it took some time for you to start seeing the emotional, spiritual side to come out. What should we look for as we begin to journal? Like, what time frame? And I know this is going to be different for all of us, but I mean, we have to be patient. If somebody does this for 2 or 3 weeks and they're saying, I'm not feeling anything, what did you experience as you began to journal and you started to see this come out, the fruit of your labors start to come out, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm tapping into something that you probably weren't aware of, but it was beautiful. What time frame and how did you see this come about in your life?
I guess for me, you're right. Everyone is different. For me, a lot of things came up within the first month. I say a month is a good time to do it 30 days. Don't think, oh, I have to do this 30 days, but just give it a month. Put it in your calendar. Put it in your schedule. Just your me time, 5 minutes a day for a month, and see how it goes. I would bet that some people would come up with some real ahas mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So with me, some of the things came up very early on. One, I also have to talk in terms of one of the things that's going to come up very early on is the inner critic, or the monkey mind, or the Goonies, whatever you call those voices in your head that tell you that you can't, you won't, you just shouldn't, all those types of things. That is the biggest challenge, is to meet your inner critic, your voices from the past, whatever they are, because that's what got me in the process. I was doing it about a month, and those things were starting to come up. You shouldn't. You're taking time away from your brothers and sisters, and I literally stopped journaling. I was so scared of what's this? I'm being such a bad, good Catholic girl, all those types of things that just came up. It's like, I'll go back to the keyboard and I'll just do on the keyboard, and a couple of days of that, and it's just like, no. But synchronistically, I found a book that was talking about the inner critic. I thought, oh, that's what's going on. I'm really unearthing, as you were saying, or in addition to unearthing all kinds of positive, fantastic things like our true self, we're also unearthing the inner critic and all the kind of stuff, and just being able to process that, the inner critic's not me, it's that and that and that and that. So I would say a long way around, give it a month.
Okay.
To really see that. I believe a month doing it consistently, you will start seeing, a true awakening to, oh my goodness, this is who lives in this body. Oh, I remembered I really like this, or oh, so-and-so, this really aggravates me, and then just being able to use the journal to process those things and then go through it and say, oh my goodness, I've been thinking that all those years. And it's just like, that wasn't true. That's them. This is me. So it's a really like therapeutic on all levels experience. So I just think just do it and stay with it. And it's going to be really challenging because, the whole thing, I'm too busy, I'm this, and I procrastinate, or I'll get to it or whatever. So give it a good month.
Do you recall what some of your aha moments were when you started to realize you're tapping into something bigger? Do you remember anything specific that kind of jarred you to say, oh my goodness, wow?
Well, I would say the first thing was remembering my childhood. I mean, it's just like, I could tell you that I was born and raised, and I went, to school and all that type of thing, and some bits and pieces of backyard barbecues and things like that. But I just started getting really into me, and that's how I just, to the light of day, I realized that when I was doing the writing, got into this whole scenario around my left-handed writing and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, oh my goodness, it's like, I remember that incident. I was such and such, and I can remember, it was just phenomenal. So I would say probably for me, it was a good 3 weeks into the process, this came up, this like, oh, that's what it was. And at that point, I was, my mom was still alive. So I was able to, I said, Mom, this is what, I experienced in my writing, and came up and said, did this really happen? Did Sister so-and-so really change me? She said, and she verified that was true. So that was really exciting. Then I also had, very soon after that, I had an experience of my childhood of remembering about my singing and remembering my interpretation of why they didn't want me in the choral group in 4th grade was that I was tone deaf. So, but pushed down, stuff down, way down, carrying it around with me all these years and I decided to, I said, now is the time. I'm going to become a real singer. And interesting synchronicity, again, less than a month later, there was an article in a local newspaper about a music school a couple towns away that's catered to music students of all ages. And I started taking lessons, and now I'm a 5-octave singer. So, and I'm working on writing my first album. So those are the types of things that came up very early on into the journaling process, consistent daily journaling process for me.
And what's your nickname they call you with singing?
They call me Mariah Carey Mary.
When I heard you say that, I'm like, wow. So you had this singing ability that you had inside your cells. It's like a cellular memory that you were born with. Because some of us can sing, some of us can't. Some of us can play sports better than others. So we have these inborn things. So you had this, and this has been shoved deep inside, but the memory was still, there's the cellular memory, and you can correct me or maybe restate this how I'm saying this. You had a cell memory of singing, and the left-handedness and the memories of childhood, these were all in these cells. And as you started to journal and your subconscious started to express itself, they started to just flow out. You started to become that person who you once was. Is that correct?
Absolutely, positively.
Wow.
It's like I love music, as you know. There's a song, a line from a Barry Manilow song. It says, "All the time waiting for a sign to think I had it all the time."
Mm.
And that's the way what, and it's just, because I think that, this whole thing around emotions and that, when I take a look at, my parents were wonderful human beings. The nuns were great at St. Bernard's School and all that, but what they were doing was giving me what their parents gave them, and just
Mhm.
on and on. No dialogue, no discussion, no processing, no thinking about it, just, again and again and again. So it's just, and journaling provide the opportunity for, as you said, and that's why I call it, journaling helps us heal the issues in our tissues, because that, you're absolutely right. It is at a cellular level, all these memories, these thoughts, these misinterpretations or whatever from childhood. Because, and I I've been following Bruce Lipton, who wrote the biology,
Oh yeah. Incredible.
and he's like, speaking of an aha, I said, yes, because we are working at a different level of consciousness from age 1 to 7, and we're soaking it all in.
Yeah.
We're recording, we're observing, and all that, and it does get into the cells.
Yeah.
And journaling, again, I can't tell you how it works. All I can report is that it is a medicinal, a magical, mysterious, mystical experience.
Let me ask you something. So I discovered this at a chiropractic conference. We did this meditation type thing, and we were just expressing things. I forget how it went down, but I remembered back, and I'm going to ask you how this ties into journaling and actually physically writing. So I remember back in fourth grade, it was probably fifth grade, that I was in high level English, math, and whatever science, whatever. So, but my English, I was struggling in. I was a year or two behind everyone because I started school when I was 4 years old. So it was starting to come out that I was starting to struggle. And we had these pods, and you could see all the students, because it was a circular pod. They took me from high reading and they put me in middle reading, where everyone got to see me go from the high class to the middle class. And I didn't remember like at the time how it affected me, but it did, because I remembered back that I always considered myself number 2, no matter what I did in sports and everything. And I would not consider myself to be the best, even though I would go all the way to the top and become like the number 2 guy on the team. I wouldn't consider myself to be number 1. And I'm like, so anyhow, we were doing this thing. And I remember thinking back, that's what happened to me. I started to bawl my eyes out. I couldn't speak. I tried to talk, and they're like, just let it go, man. And I didn't feel bad. I was just letting it pour. I'm like, this has been stuck inside me for years. And after that, I really didn't do much with it. I was able to think about it, and I'm not sure how to advance that. But with writing, is this what this does? And maybe it's different than just saying it, because is there something different if you actually write, you're physically writing? Is there a higher level of intellect that your brain cells are connecting because you're actually physically writing? And is this what the process that we're going through? And if we do discover something like that, how do we keep growing through it? I know I threw a bunch of questions at you.
Well, I guess that's I'll answer the last question first. It is very similar to the experience that you just described, because the thing about journaling is that you have to be honest with yourself and bring all of yourself to the page. And I think something people don't understand, that writing, like meditation, like going to the gym or whatever, is a somatic experience. So that means your whole body. And again, we're working against the way we've been brought up. And the medical profession has treated, the symptom, the da 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 da. They haven't treated or looked at us holistically.
Mhm.
And this is a scary experience for us because we're looking at all of it, and you're right. It is that was one of the ahas. And amazing thing is that, wow, just by putting the pen to the page, it's like and pulling up all these things, like, and as you said, understanding how the stuffing down all the things that happened in childhood, and the fact that we were young and at a different level of consciousness. Yes, and of course, when you have a very strong religious impact that focuses on the outside world and not on you, that's really, so you have a whole lot of history that's, really challenging. But that, to answer your question, it helps you get into those things. And the fact that you're able to cry, to let it, to express it, to get it out, and and just having that whole somatic experience is just phenomenal. So that is, like I said, I don't, like with meditation, and I mean, things come up when in meditation. It's like, ooh, okay, whatever. It's like I say, there's something magical, mysterious about that's really therapy, that really helps us dig deep, do the heavy lifting, and really help provide a safe haven for us to examine, excuse me, in more detail. Where did this come from, or whatever issues for you come out of that a journaling experience.
So, like with an issue like mine, if I were journaling, or if anyone's journaling and these things start to come up, as we continue journaling and just whatever's on our mind, whatever's on our heart, we just keep pouring out. It sounds like this is going to kind of cleanse us, kind of like we do a nutritional cleanse. We're doing a mental cellular cleanse. And as it cleanses, we can probably understand it better, deal with it better, and then let it go. And,
Yes.
and let that negative thing go. Whereas if it's a positive thing, we can attach to it and say, this is who I was meant for. And we can start to pull on that. But until we actually go through this process, we'll never truly discover who we are, or maybe get out the garbage that's hindering us as well.
Absolutely. And that's why I like to change titles for me and my company. I am now the inner work tour guide. Through journaling, I'm helping people to do what we're talking about, our inner work, to really sort ourselves out, find out what really happened, but this is how I interpreted it. This is what I thought. This is why I keep saying this or repeating this or whatever. So it has all kinds of fantastic benefits to us, like I said. And that's why I'm always saying it's helping us understand who really lives in our body. And it's not who we think, or who our inner critic, our brain, or whatever, and all the other external things have been telling us that we are. It's like we're finding out, oh my gosh, that's right. Or yeah, I love music, and I'm going to take lessons to become a real singer. So it's just that's the exciting part about it. And it's just like, and there is no rules or guidelines. It just, it comes up when it's supposed to come up. And it's like,
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? And then what's so exciting is that as you're thinking or dealing with other issues or whatever, the answers will come to you. If you're consistent in your journaling and just doing the process for yourself every day, it's like, you'll be in the shower. That's the answer. Or, that's what I was looking for. Or, isn't that interesting? Where did that phrase come from? So it's not, all the action doesn't happen when you're at the page. I mean, it's real down to earth tool for us to use for our life to know and grow ourselves.
That's cool. I'm working on a new like vision and mission for my office. And you hit stages in life, you're like, okay, I think we need to make a change and just keep going upward. And I sit and I ponder thoughts and I just write things down. I write whatever comes out to my head. So I'm doing this is pretty interesting. And I write things, I'm like, that's not it. But I know I have to write it to get that out so I don't keep thinking about it. And then as I keep writing, I'm like, oh, I think I'm onto something here. And I write every day. I don't have it yet, but I'm getting closer every day. And it's interesting with this inner self. As a chiropractor, we work on the spine and the nerve system. The brain and nerve system are connected to everything. And we hear it all the time too, not just with physical complaints with like neck pain or shoulder pain. I had a patient the other day say, Dr. Trusser, you won't believe this, but I am sleeping through the night. I don't need Benadryl. I don't have to drug myself to go to bed. And when I wake up, I feel refreshed because she didn't have to drug herself. And I always tell my patients, I'm not fixing your sleep. I'm just reconnecting your brain to your body the way it was meant. It's very similar because it's in there ready to work.
That's what Sterling's doing. Exactly.
It's so cool. And when it's blocked, the power's still there. We just have to flip the switches. And when we do an adjustment, many times it's flipping a switch. 2 adjustments, she's just blown away. And I hear this all the time. Sometimes it takes 2 switches. Sometimes it takes maybe 20, 50 switches. But this is exactly what you're doing with the mind is we're journaling, we're flipping switches, turning things on, dumping garbage, detoxing, cleansing. And then bam, a BJ Palmer, the originator of chiropractic, would say he would get these thought flashes, these downloads. And you hear from the greats, they would have a pen and paper beside their bed. And if they had a thought flash in the middle of the night, get up, write it down, because that's that download. That's that universe is telling you, God's telling you, hello. and that could be the next step to a business or, a thought. And it was interesting. I think I said this on one of my shows. I was away on a trip with a bunch of buddies to a Steeler game. I forget where we were, I think in Arizona. I got up real early because I usually do. It was probably 4:30 or so, and I did my Bible and I was just reading and I was journaling. So I do dabble in. I'm gonna get 30 days.
You are a journaler.
I'm gonna do this more specific.
You're a journaler 101. Consider now you're journaling 102. So.
I'm taking it up a notch. This is exciting, and I got the download to this whole Making Pittsburgh Healthy podcast. It was like I wrote it all out. I was like, okay. And then after I was done writing it out, there wasn't a thought that came into my head. It was done. So I get what you're saying. And I think I hope the listeners are thinking of this saying, you know what, if you want to become stronger, more passionate, be able to express life the way you were created, don't just live a mediocre life. We only have, I say I'm going to live 120 years. So let's say 80 to 120 years. We don't have a long time on this planet. Let's have fun through it. But if you can't express who you really are and you're expressing somebody else's thoughts for you or the way you should live because you're based in a family or whatever, you're not living. And this doesn't have to be radical. You don't have to be crazy and harm yourself, but it's the thing that you need to express yourself and those things will come out. So I'm really excited to journal. I'm going to get a journal. I'm going to start tomorrow morning and I'm just going to get it all out.
Absolutely.
And see what happens.
And you'll see as the time goes on, it's like you'll get. And that's what someone said to me. Well, how is it? Did you get to the page? And I was like, now that I've reconnected with my singer, I said my passion in life is performing, and so that's what I do. When I get to the page every day, it's showtime. So. Because you've gotten rid of all like you say, you've expressed your true inner self, and you're got on all the clutter. Because I mean, now at the point when my inner critic appears at all, I give him the evil eye, and he knows he needs to go out and play in traffic. So it's just like, it's a totally different thing. It's like I'm calm, I'm cool. I'm collected. It's just like it, and it's like you said to your example. That's how the idea for journaling for the health of it. Those words literally showed up in the journal. Create right now. The name of my company showed up. It's like, oh, okay, good. Move on to the next thing. So you're right. You're absolutely right on, as I tell everybody.
You know what's interesting? The two types of stress, the nerve system, parasympathetic is growth and repair and healing. That's the calm side. The sympathetic is the fight and flight. And most of us are in that sympathetic all the time. We get up, we got busy, we're watching the news, we're stressed, we're agitated, we're not sure what's going to happen next. We have a flat tire, we're going to be late for work. We're stressed all day. We never take time. And this is like a seesaw. If you're living in a sympathetic stress life, you're burning out. You're burning everything. You're burning your mind, your body, your organs, your cells are aging rapidly. And the parasympathetic comes from stuff like this, where you're journaling, you're calm, you're meditating, you're in prayer time. Even when we give an adjustment, we stimulate the parasympathetic to kick in. So things that are healing, if we don't take time, what you said, take time for you, the me time. If we don't take time for this, we're burning out. And who are we going to be good for later? No one, because we're going to be in diapers at age 60 and have dementia and wonder, like, how did we get here? But we won't even know we got there because our minds fried. So you have to start taking these techniques and these strategies serious to say, you know what, if I can begin doing this now and I can develop a habit, even if it's for only 5 minutes every day, and you did this for 10 years, holy cow, where will your life be? It will be magical. So, and it may turn into, like what you're saying, you may do it for a while. I remember, sometimes when I did journal, I'm going to commit to specific 30 days tomorrow morning. I'm going to hit it. And there were times that I would write 2 or 3 pages and look and go, wow, that's good. I'm like, how did I come up with that? I'm like, I didn't come up with it. It's been inside me wanting to express it, but I never let it out.
Exactly.
There's a verse in the Bible in Proverbs, and and this is used a lot. As you think, you will become. And it's like this conscious stuff. As we start to express ourselves, we look at this and we start to see ourselves as a new person, we'll become more of that. And another interpretation of that was, be very careful about what you think. Your thoughts run your life. And if we're not careful and we don't get the positive thoughts, oh gosh, somebody else is running our life for us. Let me ask you this, just something specific. Let's say I have a goal, business goal or physical goal or whatever. How can journaling help me achieve my goals?
Excuse me, by one, certainly writing them down in your journal a lot, or putting it on one page and always looking at it and connecting to it. I think that's the key thing. I'm a big goal setter, and that's what I do. I have my goals listed out in a journal, and then take if one to work on, and just work through it, and ask your journal questions. I mean, I find that journals love questions. So to say, my goal is to such and such, whatever. Does this make sense? Well, what are these the right words to use? And so that, and get it refined so we can. Excuse me, I have the flyer in here. So I say the answer is to write it down, keep it there, written down, work it, and write on it, write for it, write around it, and that will help you. And then just go back and then maybe you need to revise or rewrite the words or whatever once you've gotten clearer on what it is. Yeah, that's what I want, because you want it to be measurable and specific. So it's just like, yeah. So I'd say that's what works for me as far as the goals. And like I said, I haven't gotten the singing, I've gotten the business, and a lot of the personal things physically. So
the reason I ask is, many people will journal because we want to, or we'll write our goal down. I want to earn $100,000 more next year. I want to save 100,000, whatever those goals are. I want to earn 10,000 more in income and salary next year. We write that down, but then we don't act on it. We don't work with it. We just write it down and we hope that it's just going to fall out of the sky and somebody's going to come up and say, Mary, here's $10,000.
Right. And I think and that's what I mean. It's like, it's that you always have to keep it with you and keep journaling about it. It's like, does that make sense? Or how am I always checking in with using the journal to check in? Well, if my goal was such and such, how am I doing? I said,
Mhm.
we're 3 months into the process, and I wanted to say, earn $100,000 by July, and here we are at March, and what have I done? So again, I think that's the thing about journaling. You can just use that as a process to just write what you're thinking.
Mhm.
How am I going to do this? What did I do? And again, not beating yourself up, but just like, got to get back to the program. But again, just being in and staying in that process, and just even working, writing and writing and rewriting the goal and the action step, just like staying in the writing process with your goal will keep you honest and on track.
That makes sense too, as we write these things out. If we ask, go, okay, I want to earn 100,000 more next year. You write in your journal, how am I going to do this? What do I have to do? Who do I have to become? What books do I have to read? And when we start to say these, it's just crazy how this works too, because you start to focus on something and you start to focus and focus and focus. All of a sudden it starts to appear. Just like you said, the things appeared in your life, and it wasn't coincidence. It was like you were ready for it, or it could have been there all along. You just don't see it. And then
Right.
voila.
But the thing is, we're doing the work, and that's my favorite. No, I have my favorite 4-letter F word is feel. And so my favorite 4-letter word is also work, and just
Right.
working through it. It's just it's just amazing. Yeah, it's just yeah. But you're right. The thing is, you have to take it from the page to the world and do something. And I think that's, like I said, I'm going to set my goal to get start singing lessons, and wrote it and wrote it and wrote it and wrote it, and then it appears. But it's like I think it's Ralph Waldo Emerson said, once you make a decision, and I say, and you take action, the
Yeah.
universe conspires to make it happen. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
bottom line, is moving from the page and say, oh, okay, that's like I have to do, and start taking action or whatever, like I said, or at least putting this thing, oh, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? What I have to do? And then boom, you'll get the book about how to earn $100,000. Yeah, you're right. It is amazing but the key is to be consistent, to do the work, to just do it.
Well, there's a lot of people that talk about this. I mean, Tony Robbins and a lot of speakers, and that we all have different strategies, and we have to, if we just listen and we don't act, nothing happens. So you can take Mary's advice and say, you know what, Mary, how much does it cost to journal in the morning? Zero. You could get a college degree from journaling, because if you have this, you could have $1 million idea inside you that you never let out and express itself, but it's free. It's free to journal. So it's just time. But when you spend time, there's a physics law: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you give out and you're expressing out, you're going to get it back some way, somehow. It may not come in a week, like Mary said, give it 30 days, but you have to take these strategies and say, you know what? You have to ask yourself, look yourself in the mirror today and say, do I want to be better, or do I want to stay the same or get worse? Because you never stay the same. You either age or you get stronger. And if you say, I want to get better, then you act. You get a journal, you go to the store, get a journal, get a piece of paper, start writing tomorrow. And then we're going to have Mary's website and all her connections. Go to her blog, go to her site, get in touch with Mary and see, can she help you through this journey? This is why we're doing the show, so we can have other people to work with. If we don't, we're left there hanging, then most of the time you're going to, in a week, you're going to forget all about this. But if you act upon it, and maybe you connect with Mary and say, wow, you know what? I think she's the one. She may help me. Start going down that journey, start going down that path. The worst thing you can do is end a show, any show that we do, and just say, oh, I can't wait for the next show. I do this with podcasts all the time. I listen, and if I resonate, some I don't, some I may not get anything. That's okay. But when I do, and you say, you know what, this is making some sense, at least act upon it. Check out Mary's site, start journaling, do something to start moving forward in life. Otherwise, you not only say the same, you're getting worse tomorrow. So in 30 days, you could have that aha, that you maybe I can't wait. And I'll let you know. I'll send you a note. And say,
I love, like I said, on my video, I'd love to hear people aha, so I can celebrate with them, because it's like, it blows, as you know, it blows your mind.
it is. It's exciting. So as we kind of tie this together, I think this was an incredible show. And listeners, if this is all new to you, trust me, I've done and listened to things like this for many, many years, and we have different strategies to do it. Do this. If you've never done it, start doing it. If you're already doing it, then do it to another level. Let's all get that aha moment and send Mary the ahas that we got.
I love hearing.
It's exciting.
And ahas, yeah. It's just like, and as you said, that's what's so exciting, because it's all inside of us and it's free.
It is. So as we kind of roll this together, any last things that you left out you want to share with the listeners? Again, we'll have all your connections on our page. So listeners, just go to the show notes, click, and you'll go right to Mary's page. But anything we've left out that you want to make sure they hear?
Do something for yourself. Start and stay journaling. And just write on. That's what I always say to people.
Right on.
But no, I think it's just like, do something free, close at hand, easy to get to for yourself starting now, and start journaling and stay journaling. That's
great advice. And action always gets results. Just thinking and wishing gets nothing. I don't want to be a sideline player. I'd rather get in the game and get banged up a bit, but say I played the game. And we're in the game of life. And if you don't learn how to find your true inner self, you'll never have as much fun as you can in life. And I know I still can find more of me, and I think I've done a pretty good job. But we always want to keep going. So one question I always end with is, any fun, crazy plans for the future?
Fun, crazy plans. No, I would have to say the life I live right now, I'm very happy with. I just want to do more of being able to sleeping through the night, 7 to 8 hours of doing what I want when I want to, out of my beautiful beachfront home, and sharing what I can of me for the rest of the world. So I don't know if that's wild and crazy, but like that, I want to do what I have is great. I just want to do more of it.
It's funny. Most of the listeners say something very similar. There's only a few wild, crazy plans that I've gotten. I'm always curious just what we're thinking. And you're living a life that you love, and we don't have to run out and do fun, crazy things. I would say I probably wouldn't have any fun, crazy plans for the future either, even though I ask that question. My thing is I want to play a rugby game this season. I still play rugby to at least get one season, another season in at age 54. So for most people, they're like, dude, you're crazy. So, but to me, it's like, that's part of my life. So
absolutely.
So Mary, thank you so much for inspiring our guests today and sharing your knowledge. It's incredible. And I pray that our listeners take this at a level that you're giving, because what you just shared with us today is life changing. This can change your whole life, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, if you act upon it. So thank you for being on our show today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a great time, and it was fun.
Thank you for joining us in another amazing episode to make Pittsburgh the healthiest city in America, or wherever you live. Let's join together and make this world healthier for generations to come.